Call this meeting of the Board of Zoning Appeals, City of Kokomo to order. First things, if you have a cell phone or any other electronic device, I request that you silence it or turn it off. Guess we'll have the pledge and a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First order of business we have is the approval of the March 5th, 2024 meeting.
I move to approve the minutes from the March 5th, 2024 meeting.
Second. We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion passed.
Mr. President, before we get into the agenda, I might want to let petitioners know that this is a five-member board. Unfortunately, one of our members is not present tonight. So if you want to have your case heard in front of the full board, you can ask for a continuance when your case is read. If you're comfortable with the four-member board hearing your case, it takes 3 votes to pass or 3 votes to deny. So it doesn't matter to me one way or the other, just letting you know you had that option when your case is called. We also have 2 continuances tonight, Mr. President. The first case, P01V24, this is the sign issue we have at U-Haul at 705 North Dixon Road. I believe we have an agreement with them. They're waiting on me to put it together, so I think our office is all in agreement with it. I haven't showed it to TJ yet. I'll make sure he clears it before we go any further, but I think we're in good. I just want to keep it on the agenda in case we need to use it for the future down the road, but we are going to continue that case tonight. And also, item number 5, case 510B24, it's the restaurant at 2323 North Elizabeth. There are several variances there, and the property owner has asked for a continuance so he would have a chance to look at some of those variances moving forward. So hopefully we can reduce some of those before our next meeting. So if you're here for case P01B24 or case P10B24, neither one of those cases will be heard tonight. So the first case to be heard, Mr. President, is case.
Excuse me, I'm here for that, so what's gonna happen from now till then?
Which case are you talking about?
About the restaurant,
It'll be at the next month's meeting.
am I gonna be notified?
No,
Why not?
because it's already on the agenda. You're being notified now that the case will be heard next month.
Right, I know what I'm saying, am I gonna be notified when it's gonna be me, so I can be here?
Sir,
Isn't that why I'm here?
sir, if you would come to the mic and state your name and address, please.
This concerns me and my property. My name is Michael Paul. I live at 2320 North Elizabeth Street. I have a lot of questions about this build over there.
Okay,
I don't want it,
okay,
okay? For one reason, is that it was a new build. That was an old building. He tore it down to the ground and built a new building.
we're well aware of that, sir.
And the property is not sufficient for the build, okay? The capacity of the building, there is not parking, and I will not be submitted to happen to play traffic cop on my street that I pay taxes for,
Sir?
that I own a house.
Sir, hang on a second.
Well,
Sir, this case is not being heard tonight, so just hang on, please.
I don't want to miss out, because I
You're not
know,
going to miss out.
I know who the guy is that's building it.
Let me speak, please. There are lots of variances for this, as I just said. That's why the current owner has asked for this continuance, so hopefully he can find some ways to fix some of these variances. That's why he has every right to ask for a continuance, which he did.
Well, I understand
We
that.
granted that, so that case will be heard. What's the date of the next meeting, Jess?
May 7th at 5 PM.
It'll be May 7th, 5 o'clock, same time, same place.
Well, I just don't want to get snowballed on this, okay?
Nobody's snowballing anything.
No, I'm not saying you are.
Okay.
I'm just saying the guy went in there and built that building,
We understand.
and somebody signed off on it to allow him to put a big building on a small plot of land.
Sir,
Nobody
you
signed
can- You
off.
can bring that up next month when he comes before the board.
We'll be
It's
more
not-
happy
we're-
to
we're
answer,
not-
be more happy
that
to
case
answer all
is-
those questions next month.
The case is not being heard tonight. It'll be heard next month.
Well, I'm just saying, I am the one that, I live on that street.
I understand.
I've lived there for over 60-something years.
I understand.
I have a lot invested in that, and I will not allow a man to come sneak in there and put up what he wants to put up, and then I have to be, you know, the one that has to take all the repercussions,
Bring those concerns
I
next
understand
month.
completely. I understand completely.
okay? I just don't want to hear in the afterward that, oh, well, you missed a hearing and you weren't there to, you know.
I just don't-
Because I'm the only person on that street that's here for that street.
The next meeting is May the 7th, 5 o'clock here. Now, I will tell you, that per our, rules of order, or our, not rules of order, rules of procedure, he can't ask for for two continuances. So he could ask for another one next month. I don't know that they're going to, but he could, and he has every right to do that if he.
Right, what's that mean? Does that,
It'd be another 30 days then before the case is heard.
well, does that mean that he's not allowed to continue with what he's doing right now?
They cannot open the business until all of this until when and if this gets resolved. He
Okay,
cannot open the business.
well, I'll be here, and he better, you know, he better have some good answers, because like I said, it's not gonna fly the way he wants it to. It's
And-
not gonna happen.
To save you time, it might be worth calling the plan commission beforehand to see if that's been continued.
If it
or
gets
not.
continued to the
That
same.
way you don't come up, show up and wait and just hear it's continued now.
Right.
Just trying to save you time.
I'm just, you know, I'm concerned because.
I understand.
It's my property.
Yep.
It's not nobody else's.
We
I
get
got
it, but it-
It's not across the street from you or any of you, it's me.
I understand, sir.
And I don't-
I've been doing this for a long time. We know what we're doing. We're not gonna snowball
Well, I'm
anybody.
not telling you that, I'm just telling you from my perspective,
Okay.
what's gone on since day one.
I understand too.
Okay.
That's why all this is before us, because of that.
But, well, the way I read on the appeals was, there was making it out about a trash issue too, about a dumpster that he's wanting to put over there and everything.
Well, there's 7 different variances he's asking for. One of them is where the dumpster is located.
Right, yeah, and the way it reads, it's right in front of me, and I won't stand for that.
Okay, thank
I'll
you.
be here on May 17th.
All right, sir.
Thank you.
We will be too. Thank you. Okay, with that being said, the next case is case P04 SC 24, petition Scott Perkins requesting special exception for section 3.7 for a self-storage facility. This is in the LI zone at 2609 North Washington Street.
I need a motion and a second on this.
I move that we approve case number P04-SE-24 and adopt the findings of the petitioner as those of the board and make those findings part of the record.
Second.
Any members have any ex parte communications on this? Is the petitioners here for?
Yes.
Good.
Tori Tripp, Tripp Engineering and Consulting, representing Scott Perkins. It's the Lux Garage Storage Units. It's formerly McPike Storage up on North Washington. This is an existing storage unit facility. It was zoned correctly under the previous ordinance, but with the revisions that went through, was it last year?
Yeah, last
Roughly.
4 months, yeah.
Now, if you're in an LI, you need a special exception. So that's why we're here tonight requesting that. Do you want me to go ahead and read the
Yes, please.
petitioner's finding of facts? The proposal will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. The requested special exception will not impact the community, as part of the parcels are already a storage unit facility. The requirements and development standards for the requested use as prescribed by this zoning ordinance will be met. The buildings meet the minimum requirements for front and side yard setback requirements on this zoning district. The site is already zoned LI and already contains storage units. This zoning, with a special exception, is an approved use for this site. The granting of the special exception will not subvert the general purposes served by this zoning ordinance and will not permanently injure other property or uses in the same district and vicinity. Granting the special exception will not negatively impact the adjacent properties, as the site will continue to function as it does currently. This special exception will not prevent the adjacent property owners from using their properties. The proposed use will be consistent with the character of the district within, the spirit and the intent of this zoning ordinance, and the Kokomo Comprehensive Plan. This site already contains a storage facility and is zoned LI, is an appropriate use for the use. HI and C2 zonings are already present surrounding this site. And then I can answer any questions the board would have.
Thank you.
Was it an HI prior to this, Greg?
I'm sorry,
What was the zoning before?
I think it's always been L,
It's been an LI.
but with the new standards that we
Understand that
put,
part.
now we have to get a special exception for it to be there. So it's always been zoned this zone.
Okay, I got some questions
Yeah.
about that later.
Okay. You want me to read mine?
Yeah.
Okay, staff findings for case P04 SC 24. Proposal will not be injurious to public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. The proposed storage facility will not be injurious to public health, safety, morals, or general welfare of the community. The petitioner will still be required to go through development plan approval before building and will be required to meet all standards for the new buildings. The petitioner has not described how many units or buildings he plans to add. The requirements and development standards for the requested use as prescribed to this zoning ordinance will be met. The buildings meet the minimum requirements for front and side setback requirements in the zoning district. The existing storage facility meets previously held developmental standards. The new portion of the storage facility will be required to meet new standards recently put into place for such facilities or seek variances. The granting of the exception will not subvert the general purposes served by this zoning ordinance and will not permanently injure other property or uses in the same district and vicinity. As this is the expansion of an existing storage facility, the use is not changing and should not impact neighboring property owners or their uses if it is not before this time. And filling the vacant portion of the lot with new useful storage buildings would increase the value of the property, a positive effect on the area. The proposed use will be consistent with the character of the district therein, the spirit and intent of this zoning ordinance, and the Kokomo Comprehensive Plan. While the Kokomo Comprehensive Plan calls for this area to be used for general commercial or medium-density residential uses, it also borders an area designated for medium or high industry. Excuse me, the staff supports granting this special exception in order to expand the existing storage facility. I might let the board know that, I believe, after talking to Ms. Tripp, yesterday, that they are actually, in the process of putting together a new site plan for the new storage buildings. Is that correct?
Originally, when the site was approved years ago, it's made up of 4 parcels. Parcel 1 is where the storage units are currently. They did a site plan development for this parcel that's to the west of it, had it approved through the board, started building on that, and then stopped. And then there's 2 parcels that would be to the north. One's to the north that runs the entire length of the first 2 parcels, and then there's another one that's to the north of that are undeveloped at this time. His plan is to finish out the parcel that he had, that was already started. But the development plan that was approved needs to be completely scrapped because the buildings don't meet the current zoning ordinance and, of course, the architectural requirements and all those things. The problem is I can't tell you how many storage units we're gonna fit on there because they started putting in the infrastructure, the storm, the inlets. They have several buildings on that. And until we're actually in the process of doing survey to get as-built on what was actually put in so that we can come up with a new site layout for those. So his plan is that hopefully later this year, that parcel will be coming through plan commission for approval. The other two parcels, he plans to do in the future, but he hasn't given me a date on when he wants to develop those.
My question is, are we voting on all the parcels or just the parcel that's directly behind the 4 units now?
It's all 4 parcels, because he had them combined, so it's
Herein
one.
lies my problem. You don't have a development plan yet, and you're a year out from having a development plan. So you said you had easements, questions, and all that. So if you leave that wide open, you don't know that you're gonna have to have any variances for the north 2 parcels. Well, as far as that, or the south, or the farthest north one. There's 5 other parcels there that could change drastically.
There's 4 parcels total.
Okay?
And so he had the 4 parcels combined, so that's what we're here for the special exception, because they're already zoned LI. I'm not anticipating any variances, it's just, we couldn't do any layout because we don't know what was actually put in that other lot that had started construction prior. The storm that is already there was it's considered lot 4, which is the parcel to the west, is already set up for that. The other 2 parcels, we would have to do, complete storm, everything on there. It wasn't included in the original drainage summary when the development was originally done.
Okay. I remember this case when it come through. If that was LI then, when and how did you get the okay to do outside storage on the southwest corner?
That I don't know.
Don't know.
He's in violation then. He's got outside storage in an LI that he's not supposed to have. At the extent of 24 he's got 24 places out there. He's got what looks to be I don't know what it is, to tell you the truth. I don't know if it's a boathouse or what. He's got something out there that's got a hull in it, and it's either roofing materials or siding materials stacked up in it with a brick on top of it. That's not the intent of what's supposed to be here, and I don't know how he's got outside storage in an LI.
Well, I mean, that's something we could certainly talk to the owner about and find out what's going on.
Okay, I don't care if he develops,
Yeah.
we tell other people you can't have outside storage. I looked it up online, and it's still got the old pics, there's nothing there, and I drove
Right.
by and I go,
Right.
ooh, we got a little more here than what I thought, so I'm just asking the question.
Yeah, we can certainly reach out to Mr. Perkins and find out.
Yeah, he hasn't said anything to me that he's going to keep the outside storage at all. So I don't know if his intent was to get rid of it. He actually got the property from, Mr. McPike was his father-in-law.
Yes.
Yeah, I
And so
remember.
he just got ownership of the property like last fall.
Okay,
So I don't know that, he hasn't mentioned to me about keeping that. I know he had a developmental plan for that whole lot that was approved, and I don't know if the outside storage was on that or not, because I haven't looked at it that close.
okay.
I could reach out to Mr. Perkins and find out what his intent is. I know when he talked to me the other day, his intent is to clean the entire property up, make it look a lot nicer, is my understanding. So hopefully that would be removing the outside storage.
And
And I'll find out.
We don't know how many units they're gonna put up in there, or
Not yet, no.
not yet,
Because all this is doing is giving them the ability to build there.
to build that.
Then they'll have to come back before the plan commission to get site plan approval, when they get to that point. Which then we'll know exactly how many buildings they're going to have, how far apart they're gonna be, where they're going to be. We'll know all of that then. So all we're doing tonight is basically giving them permission to,
And all I'm worried about is procedure, Greg. I just
I
don't.
understand.
I just don't want to vote on something and he goes, well, it's here and I've got outside storage.
Gotcha.
That's my only question.
Anybody in the audience have any comments on this? You would state your name and address?
It's Amber Altman. I live at 2686 North Webster Street. We are right next to the property. We've lived there since 2007, and I knew Mr. Rick Pike. He was a great guy. He used to come help me mow. Really good guy. They recently sold it, and they've done some improvements. They took down a lot of the trees that were falling, so that was a good thing. Our concern is, like I said, we've lived there for a long time. We were wanting to sell our property, but now we found out that they're gonna build all these storage units right next to our property. That will kill our property value. Right now, they're at a safe distance that it's never really bothered us. Like I said, we had trees there before, which gave us a lot of privacy. We just didn't put a pool in about 2 years ago. We did put a privacy fence up. We have kids. I don't want a lot of people next to our property when my kids are out swimming, out playing in the yard, stuff like that. The property value, we're curious what building materials they're gonna use, what their plans are to kind of maybe put a buffer in between our property and what they're doing, what our offset would be, like how close can they get to our house, our driveway, And those are a lot of our concerns, property value and just how it's gonna affect everything. We're the only one in our neighborhood that got the letter, obviously, because we're the only one next to it, and I know my neighbors have concerns too, because it would affect their property value
Well,
too.
again, this is just for the special exception.
Okay.
To allow them to build. Pardon me. All the questions that you have are legitimate
Yeah,
questions.
very valid, yeah.
But they will be answered when we have a site plan approval, because
Okay.
we will know then exactly how many buildings we're going to have, where they're going to be. And yes, there does have to be a buffer yard between, that property and any residential property.
Okay, and do you know how much an offset is required in Howard County, because I couldn't find it anywhere? Like, how,
You mean how far they have to be?
yeah, how
from-
far it has to be from our property, or from our house or property or whatever?
I would think, yeah. I would say that would be science setback, that's 5, isn't it, Greg?
Huh?
It's 5, isn't it, for side?
I think so.
Only 5?
That's where the building stops, he's gotta put his fence in, his buffer and all that, but,
5 feet?
I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, because there's power lines there.
well,
And like, we can't put up like trees or anything for privacy, because we don't have room on our property with power lines is the issue too. Or we would just,
so you're the farthest north on Webster.
we're the driveway, yeah, that comes right next to it. So right now, we have a very big space from the storage unit, so it's never been an issue, because we've always
Yeah,
been
there's
so far.
quite an area.
Yeah, it is 5 feet. But there again, they are going to have to put some kind of buffer up, whether it be a fence or trees or whatever. There has to be a buffer between the light intensity industrial and the residential property,
Okay.
so.
Yeah, because I mean, we know we can't stop it. We just want to make sure that it doesn't kill our property value as we do it.
And that's one of the reasons that we put a moratorium on several months ago. We wanted to get the storage buildings in areas that were light industrial or commercial. And we've also added architectural standards to them, which will make them look a lot nicer than what some of the older buildings look. I think I'm doing this off the top of my head, I think it was 50% masonry, if I remember correctly.
Test to my knowledge.
I know,
I'm not sure.
I'm close.
But we worked with our engineer to develop architectural standards specifically to make sure that any future storage facilities were more aesthetically pleasing.
Because right now, it's just a
But that-
chain link fence. We're
Yeah.
afraid they're gonna basically move that
Fence over.
8-foot fence over, and then we're gonna have a chain link fence 5 feet away from our privacy fence.
Gotcha, okay.
And then cameras, because we've got, teenage daughters. We're worried about all that good stuff.
When I reach out to the owner, about the other issues, I'll also talk to him about the buffer and see what they plan
Okay.
to do with that.
And I'll probably talk to him too, because they were cutting down our trees, we had an issue, so we've already talked to him, but I
Okay.
haven't talked to him about this, because we just got the letter yesterday. So we didn't have enough time to really research it too much.
In the process of cutting down all them trees, they threw a piece of one of the trees through
RV
our
window,
RV window.
so,
Oh, nice,
so
okay.
yeah, that's when we're like, oh, great, more construction.
Gotcha.
As Greg said though, communication with about the buffer yard is very good if you can do it up front. Let him know your concern.
Maybe just talk to him and see if we can.
If Greg's gonna talk to you, that will help a
I'll
lot,
talk to them as
because
well.
they're aware of it.
And the board, I mean, it's in the ordinance, so it'll happen one way or the other.
Okay, yeah, because they said, oh, it'll increase their property value, but it won't probably increase ours, and I've been trying to get him to sell his house for years. Finally talk him into it, getting stuff ready, and boom, this, I'm like, oh,
Started last Saturday and got the
notice, yeah.
notice.
So,
I would be surprised if it hurts your property value.
okay,
I really.
that's my biggest concern, I
I really
think,
would
is
be
how it's gonna affect
surprised.
our property value.
I know Mr. Perkins well enough that he'll make it look a lot nicer
Yeah.
than what it does now. And with the housing market the way it is,
We should be okay.
I would be shocked, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and I'll reach out to him, like, my family knows him personally, so
Sure.
I'll try to reach out to him, I just wasn't sure what's going on.
And I will too. I'll reach out to him tomorrow, actually, and
Okay,
have a chat
perfect.
with him about all this.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you very much.
No, you're very welcome.
Any other board members have any questions or comments, or? No, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion passed.
Okay, the next case is case P03 SE 24, petition of Theodore Rogan requesting special exception for section 3.3, raising the farm animals in order to have up to 20 head of cattle in an AR zone. This is located at the adjoining lot to the south of 1607 West Alto Road.
Need a motion and a second.
I move that we approve case number P03-SE-24 and adopt those findings of petitioner as those of the board and make those findings part of the record.
Second. Any members have any ex parte communications on this? Is petitioner here? You would state your name and address?
Theodore W. Brogan, 2089 South, 410 West, Rushville.
You want to explain why you're here, and then we'll have you read your,
Yes, I'm going to purchase a property on 1607 Alto Road. It's really a beautiful piece of property in Kokomo. It looks like a farm, and it is a farm. It's just, there's a pasture that goes along Center Road. It's 30 acres of pasture. It's fenced in, and I have some cows, and I just want to move them over to that property to raise cattle on that property.
okay. You want to read your,
The proposal will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. I plan on using the existing farm fence surrounding the perimeter of the property. I'll use the area as a grass pasture to raise cattle, up to 10 to 20 cattle. The pasture will be cleared of fallen limbs and trees and brush. The visual appeal of the pasture will improve. It will be safe without danger to neighbors. I will maintain the property with my family, although no hired help. The requirements and development standards for the requested use as prescribed by this zoning ordinance will be met. The buildings meet the minimum requirements for front and side setback requirements on this zoning district. Yes, I'm using the perimeter boundary established currently by the existing woven fence, posts and gate. The granting of the exception will not subvert the general purposes served by this zoning ordinance and will not permanently injure other property or uses in the same district and vicinity. No, it will enhance the appearance of the property. I'll clean it, clear the fence rows, clean all the fallen trees, and return it to a pasture for raising cattle. The proposed use will be consistent with the character of the district therein, the spirit and intent of this zoning ordinance, and the Kokomo Comprehensive Plan. Yes, it's a fence pasture used to raise cattle previously, and I plan on returning it to that use to raise 10 to 20 head of cattle.
Ready for mine?
ready for yours?
Staff findings for case P03 SE 24. Proposal will not be injurious to public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. Proposed use of the property of up to 20 head of cattle should not be injurious to the community. No new buildings will take place, but the petitioner will use the existing fence to contain the cattle and will clear the area of brush to make a pasture. The requirements and development standards for the requested use as prescribed in this zoning ordinance will be met. The buildings meet the minimum requirements for front and side setback requirements in the zoning district. There will be no buildings added to the property as it is within the floodway. The granting of the exception will not subvert the general purposes served by this zoning ordinance and will not permanently injure other property or uses in the same district and vicinity. As the property is nearly unusable, due to its floodway status, finding a use for it is ideal. If neighbors do find issue with this once the use has been conducted by the petitioner, they should contact the Plan Commission Director to review the use. The proposed use will be consistent with the character of the district therein, the spirit and intent of this zoning ordinance, and the Kokomo Comprehensive Plan. While this property is surrounded mostly by other agricultural residential properties, there are also some single-family residences to the south. The City of Kokomo Comprehensive Plan earmarks this property for park and recreation or low-density residential uses. 20 head of cattle would mostly fit with what is already there and would make use of an unbuildable lot. And I also want to reiterate what Mr. Brogan also said, is this property's had cattle on it for years. And it is in, most of it is in the floodway, so it's pretty much unbuildable. So I think personally, I think the use is perfect. But in fact, one of the neighbors contacted me today, and he said, I think this is the first year that I haven't seen cattle out there. So it's been out there for a long time, so.
So was it legal non-conforming that, was it one of the properties that was annexed and then
Yes,
there's continued use, the use had stopped?
Yes.
So that's why we're here, okay.
yeah, exactly. And in that zone, you have to have a special exception to raise any type of farm animals.
In the zoning that it inherited
Correct.
after the annexation?
Yes. In that AR zone, you have to have a special exception to raise any farm animals.
Got it.
Correct.
I have a couple questions for you. First of all, I'm glad you did it. When I read that, I said cows, I laughed, and then I remembered I was going down to the city I was, but south of here, a very nice neighborhood. I looked over and there's cows right next to this house, and automatically I had that. How'd you come up with 20? I got on the internet, and whenever I read something, I get on the read. Do you go into animal units per acre and all that stuff, or is that just for big cattle people, or?
It's, I'm not a big cattle person. I have 6 cows right now, and it's taken me 4 years to get to that number. So generally, they say 2 acres of pasture per head of cattle
Yeah.
will keep you. The worst thing you can do is go to bed at night with no feed or grass
Okay.
for the cows. So this will be, allow me to sleep at night, knowing that there'll be plenty to eat.
Very good. I just read that, and found it fascinating. I just had to ask you this question, so.
I assure you, I don't think they'll lack for water after looking at it today.
You can tell it's a floodplain if you look at it today.
Yeah, if you look at it today, you can definitely tell it's a floodplain.
Yeah.
Are there any plans for some of the dead trees that are along the
I'm gonna
roadway?
try to clear out as much as I can.
Okay. I know that's been brought up from city officials to me before.
It would be very nice if I could burn them right there on the property, but
Right.
that's not allowed.
No.
Yeah. No, I will remove, I wanted to look down, if you've ever gone on 75 south to Lexington, Kentucky, those horse farms, that's what I wanted to look like. I mean, it's a beautiful pasture.
So there's several trees on that property that are standing that are dead.
They're dead. I would leave those until they fall.
Okay.
Clear them out one limb at a time. I'm a small town farmer. I mean, I don't have a big budget to raise the cows, otherwise I would clear them down. And those are big trees, would be very expensive to remove. And again, if you would allow me to burn them on the property, that would be, it's hard to remove one of those trees once you cut it down.
Yeah.
If you've ever done that. But I will clear out as much as, I mean, I want it to look good. It bugs me that those trees are still there, or the limbs on the ground.
So you planning to mow the side ditch? And
That's a tough one. That ditch is hard to mow. I'll try to weed eat it, but that's pretty back-breaking work.
yeah.
But I'll try to clear it out as much as I can.
I don't live south of that, but if I lived in there, I think I would like it to be cleaned up. If it was, then I probably wouldn't be opposed to anything. So,
I do, I would like to clear that out, but it's a couple-year plan. It's about a 2-year plan for me to clear that out.
Anybody in the audience have any questions for the petitioner? Any other board members have any more questions? No further questions. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion passed.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
We have no further business. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move that we end the meeting.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
No.
Aye.
Those opposed? Meeting's adjourned.
Thanks, everybody.